Wife training. When you hear something like that, what comes to mind? I mean, it sure doesn't sound very nice for a start. Some people equate wife training to something like dog training. After all, we only train something or someone that's subordinate to us. Do I mean women are subordinate to men? Well, no, let me explain. Men and women are not superior or inferior to each other. What we do have to understand, however, are that we are different. These differences are what makes marriages work. When you marry a woman who complements you, not one who is the same as you, magic happens. Marriage is the union of differences, and that's what makes it special. But some people get this wrong, and that's why their marriage fail. So, just as any man can learn how to be good husbands, any woman can learn to be a good wife. And that's where wife training comes into play. There's nothing negative about it at all. You're smart, and I'm sure you understand this. Here's the thing, though. What I'm about to share with you are 3 wife training techniques culled from Shogun Method. And if you have not heard about Shogun Method, let me say this. Some people find it somewhat offensive. I've got to admit this though. Shogun Method tactics are manipulative, without a doubt. But here's what I realized. A tool is simply a tool. You can abuse Shogun Method to take advantage of a woman, but you can also use it to help and improve her. Before we continue, there's something important I'd like to ask of you. Please promise me you'll use this knowledge for good, and never employ it to hurt women. Will you make that promise? If yes, scroll down to the comments section and enter the word yes. Do it now because it's important. I'll wait here. Thank you. Alright, here's the wife training strategy to help her be the ideal partner in your marriage. The first thing to do is to create a plan. In Shogun Method, Derek Rake discussed the concept of identity replacement. Using hypnosis, he taught shoguns how to implant a new identity in a woman's psyche. You don't have to go to that extreme, of course. Derek thinks that emotional enslavement is necessary, but we don't have to go that far. I do, however, think the underlying idea makes some sense. I mean, you want your wife to change into an obedient woman, right? In a way, it's about replacing her identity with something else, something better. In Shogun Method, Derek teaches a hypnosis routine known as the Black Rose Sequence. With it, he replaces a woman's identity with one he designs from scratch. He calls the new identity Persephone. I'm not going to teach you the Black Rose Sequence here. It's a secret that only shoguns know, and I respect that. But the idea with wife training is the same. You want to change your wife's identity into Persephone. Who Persephone is depends on who you want it to be. So, the first step is to craft your own idea of Persephone. What are the desirable traits attributes want to see in your wife? Here are some examples to inspire you. Respectful and differential. Pleasant and polite. Gracious and humble. Obedient and submissive. Kind and compassionate. Dutiful and puts family first. Let your imagination run wild, because everything is possible with the wife submission training plan you're learning here. Trust me on this. Got your list? Good. Now, let's move on. The second step is to make a plan to reinforce those traits with pleasure and pain. The idea is to move her away from her insolent behavior and turn her slowly into Persephone. First, you must notice her instances of behavior deviation. Whenever she deviates from an ideal trait, inflict pain. Is this the behavior of a good wife? Seriously? Really? This is what you really want to do? At all times, take the moral high ground. Whenever she misbehaves, you want to ask her, is this how a good wife will behave? Here's an important thing to remember though. You should never complain or throw tantrums. You're a man, not a child. Maintain a masculine, stoic outlook. If she has any conscience at all, she will correct her misbehavior, and when she caves in, reward her. Her subconscious mind will link obedience with pleasure and disobedience with pain. Inside Shogun Method, we call this behavioral conditioning. It's about using pleasure and pain to shape someone's behavior. And believe me, it's killer effective when you do it right. Anyway, I'm not here to talk about how great Shogun Method is. If you're interested, go to iraymodel.com and download the free digital book. At this point, I'm going to share with you another Shogun Method tactic, gaslighting. Gaslighting is a powerful tool to undermine your wife's perception of reality. It creates doubts in her own ability to perceive accurately. The most common way to gaslight is to ask, "Really?" Or "Why do you think that?" Or "You sure?" repeat until she doubts herself. Now, people think gaslighting is a bad thing. In most cases, I agree. It's a manipulative tool of the sociopath. But again, remember, a tool is only a tool. You can use it for good if you want to. For example, you can gaslight her to take control of her anxiety and put a stop to it. Let's say she imagines that her friends hated her chocolate cake. You can gaslight her until those thoughts disappear by asking, "Are you really sure about that? Did anyone really say anything about the cake? You're sure you're not just imagining this? Are you remembering correctly?" Take things up a notch by getting an ally, like a family member. If you both gaslight her together, she'll yield far quicker than you think. Now, like it or not, all wife training plans will involve some gaslighting. And like what Derek Riggs says, you can shape anyone's behavior with pleasure and pain. Gaslighting is about inflicting pain. Here's the kicker though. Some guys push it too far and overdo the pain factor. They forget that they need to give both pain and pleasure for the wife training plan to work. Because, remember, when a woman marries a man, he is her main source of emotional fulfillment. If she can't get emotional fulfillment from him, believe me, she'll find it from some other man. At this point, I want you to hold on to that thought. Let's do a quick recap so far. The first step in your wife's submission training plan is to know what you want in a submissive wife. List down the attributes you want in her. We'll call this new identity Persephone. The second step is to reward her for good behavior and punish her for bad behavior. What's good and what's bad? Well, it depends on how Persephone will behave. This step will involve a lot of gaslighting. The third and final step is to be your wife's only source of emotional fulfillment. You must supply your wife with pleasure and pain to satisfy all her emotional needs. To do that, you must understand another key Shogun method principle. A small amount of emotional grief is essential for your wife's happiness and future joy. The Shogun method tactic that we use for this is fractionation. It's the technique of putting a woman on emotional roller coasters through hypnotic storytelling. Now, the topic of fractionation is vast, and a short video won't do it justice. So, here's the next step to take. Join the Fractionation Masterclass at fractionation.org. In the Masterclass, Derek and the Shogun Method team will show you how to use fractionation on your wife. It's rated close to 5 stars by those who joined, and for good reason. Go sign up and watch the Masterclass. All you need to do is to go to fractionation.org and follow the instructions there. fractionation.org.